Hello everyone.
Hello everybody.
We've been doing a lot of reading and it's been amazing.
We've done loads today.
We have done loads today.
And last night as well. We did get quite late in the evening. We were still doing some. We wanted to come on today because it's in our hearts to do so, to just talk about a couple of things but really incorporate them into one subject matter. And we never get tired of talking about this particular subject that we're going to talk about, because it's important that we keep sharing it and shouting it out loud out there. And it's to do with the overall callousness, the coldness, the way that the organisation of the Watchtower conducts itself to any individual that they suddenly fall foul of, and the lengths that they will go to actually put that person or persons out in the cold with threats and more threats, and that has led to many individuals, devoted Jehovah's Witnesses throughout the decades, have spent a lifetime working on making sure that they are solid and devoted to the organisation, and then for whatever reason something goes quite wrong and the organisation destroys them.
It's an inhumane way that they get treated. It's that as long as you're one of us, you're one of us.
Yeah.
But do anything wrong and we'll be on you. But then if you do something seriously wrong or you walk away, then we'll shun you and you'll be nothing to do with us. And we'll go further than that. We'll make sure everyone else hasn't got anything to do with you, because we're going to paint you evil. We're going to paint you black. We're going to make you something so detestable that we're going to make it out to even look at you is a complete and utter wrong thing to do. We get treated like this on a day-to-day basis, and we know many other people out there do also. But because of that, we get to be able to see it with open eyes, and because it's not in our hearts, and we know that there's a lot of genuine witnesses out there who find it hard shunning people and don't find it a natural thing, because it's not a natural thing to do. You have to learn the ability to be able to do that. Force yourself in a lot of cases to do that. Some people it comes naturally, especially if the person that they're having to do it to they have never really liked, or they've had to be a false friend. I know there's lots of people that didn't like even talking to me. I don't know why, but there was lots of people in the organisation that I knew didn't really want to hold a conversation. So the moment that we walked away, they found it easy, because actually that's something they wanted to do anyway. So I know that that's the case, and so does Mark. But
when we were, I mean, obviously we resigned, as most people know that. Before that, when we were disfellowshipped, and obviously then reinstated before we resigned, but when we were disfellowshipped, going on to a point you made about 30 seconds ago, just as on our own personal experience, when we were sat at the back of the hall as disfellowshipped family, both husband and wife and children, we can remember at least on 2 occasions where the elders had agreed to do a special needs talk, and they would stand up on the platform and talk about us as disfellowshipped people. We're the only ones that were disfellowshipped when these two talked. There were other disfellowshipped people that came along, but on these days that they talked about it, they talked about us as being unclean.
It was the fact that they did it because we'd been going along for so long, as in, I don't want to say that too often, but basically we'd been going to every meeting. And they had attended faithfully every meeting.
They saw that as arrogance.
They saw it as not being humble.
We weren't being humble, because what are you doing here?
How dare you turn up?
How dare you turn up?
You're disfellowshipped.
We were unclean. And the reason I want to mention that is that here we are. We've been disfellowshipped, and now not only that, but we're seen as unclean. You tell another human being that they're unclean, that they've got children there at the back of a hall, and you're unclean. So the reason we mention that is because it really opened up our eyes to understanding that this organisation was not our friend. No. It was our enemy. It wanted to hate us, and it did a very good job at actually deploying that message, not only from the organisation, but to make sure that all those that were in our community, within that congregation, were our enemies too. That were to see us as nothing but scum.
it was to re-emphasize, I think, that because people were seeing us going along to every meeting and we weren't doing anything wrong,
No.
we were just attending the meetings, and I think they got very confused, a lot of the people, because they saw us faithfully. And so to reinforce how these people should be viewing us, which is why they were giving these local needs talks of reawakening the whole, oh no, you must, because if that slight little bit of doubt of, well, maybe they've come along for 2 years now, maybe we can start sort of smiling at them and not giving them a wink or a nod or a tap on the hand, or, you know, on the shoulder to keep going, or, you know, just a bit of encouragement. They didn't even want them to do that to us. So I think that this whole, it goes back to control again, and waking the members, the controlling the members in the congregation and the flock to keep away from them people at the back, because we've got to remind you that they're unclean, and the Bible says this and this, when actually, when it talks about apostates in the Bible, it talks about them as being people that have left God. And we haven't left God. No. We've left an organisation, which shows how far up they put themselves in the scale of things.
In fact, we made that very clear to them.
We made it very clear.
You know, not left lots of people disassociate for lots of different reasons, and that's their choice, and we respect and love them just as much.
But in our situation,
for us, we said we've actually come to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's when we walked away.
Or we're following a journey towards Him, because we know that this stuff that you're teaching isn't correct.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
So.
But that was when we were reinstated on the scene. We then walked away. Was the whole reason why we didn't leave God. We left an organisation, and I think that that's been even harder for people to understand, because they see us as being, you know, well, they still want a faith. How come they could still want a faith in God or with Jesus, and yet they don't want Jehovah? I don't understand, and it confuses a lot of people. So they have to paint us a certain way for other people to kind of be scared to even think about why, or wonder why they actually left, or you know, to stop them from watching videos like these ones that we make, because they don't want people to wake up. They want to keep them blind. They want to keep them asleep. In fact, Stephen Hassan, when we were at the workshop a couple of weeks ago, he said something, and it dawned on me. Oh my goodness! He said that they bore you. When you're at the Kingdom Hall, the organisation, the Watchtower, has almost like a hypnotic way of boring the congregation into a lull of sleep. So when you're actually at each meeting and you're doing the old rubbernecking where you're tired from a day's long day's work, and you've made it to the hall, and you've dragged your children there, and you've got changed, and you might be dishevelled, you might not have eaten dinner, all tactics of the Watchtower to make you so tired, and then you get to the hall and you become so bored and almost in a comatose state.
Your mind.
That it's a hypnosis technique.
Your mind actually falls asleep when you're in the hall.
And
you're not listening to what's being said.
No, even the way that they do the regimented song, prayer, you know, and then they open up the meeting, then they do another song, and then they do another prayer,
stand up, sit down, sing.
And it's a whole, it's almost like a routine to the point
where repetition.
That you are on automatic pilot. The moment you get to that hall, you go in. I can tell you now, I hold my hand up, I can't remember most of the meetings. And I now know why. And in fact, I was concerned at this workshop that I would not be able to take in all of the information that was going to be given, and I was so desperate to want to absorb as much as possible. And I even said I hope that I don't start to rubberneck and drop off, because my brain, whenever I'm in a situation like that, goes into automatic pilot of, now you can switch off. You don't have to listen, because you've done your Bible reading, you've got your Watchtower underlined, so you've done the work, and as long as you're awake to answer up, when you've got to your paragraph that you want to put an answer to, and you put your hand up, you do your paragraph, then you go back to sleep in your head. And I don't remember most meetings. I honestly don't. I'd
go quite often when we were waking up, we used to talk to each other and say, when we got back from a meeting, we got through the ritual and ripped my tie off when we came back in, starving, hungry, tired, and we'd say, well, what did you pick up from that 2 hours? And we go,
nothing.
Not a dicky bird. All I know is I've waited another 2 years. In fact, it's more than 2 years. 2 hours of my life. It's all the preparation before to get the family ready. It's getting there, the meeting, getting home, getting unchanged. You're looking at 4 hours of wasted time throughout that monotonous period of those 2 hours while you're sat inside the drone hall of the Kingdom Hall. So,
And that's the thing. It's only when you take a study along to the Kingdom Hall for the first time and you're expecting them to go, oh, it's wonderful, and they're sat there and they come away and they go, wow.
what the heck was
because
all that
they
about?
sat there so, and I remember having a study once. I took them along to the Kingdom Hall, and I was so excited to take them along, and I had to stay awake. I found it really hard to be alert that day. And now I know why, but looking then I didn't. I just thought I was just tired from the day. But I sat there, and after I asked her what she thought, she just said, she made the one comment of, all the children were just sat so still. She said, I've never seen children that young sat so still. And I used to think, yes, isn't that good training? Oh, it's because it's Jehovah's organisation. No, they were scared stiff to move because they'd get a slap or taken out the back into the loos and given a good old talking to. Don't make a move, or you'll get a smack. That's what happened to me. If I made a move when I was a child, I used to get dragged out and smacked. You're not allowed to breathe as a child. So when you look back at people's comments, you think, wow, yeah, they're looking at it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And they can see it's almost like a concentration camp regime.
It is, and you're inside a controlled environment that is controlled in every single way, even down to the colours that are on the Kingdom Hall walls.
Yeah.
No windows.
No
in
windows
some
when they're made now.
Or certain types of windows. They're so small you can't see. Everything is
to keep
finely defined.
And it's the lighting. Everything is designed. The heating as well. The heating is designed to make you warm. It's if you look at most Kingdom Halls, they're one. You can step in from this country and go to, say, America, and it will almost be like a carbon copy. The only difference is the accents. Now, if you look at the whole thing of the heating, next time you go to a Kingdom Hall, if you're an active Jehovah's Witness, next time you go to your hall, don't say anything, just take an observation around you, sit there, feel how warm it is, see if you get bored, see if you remember anything after the meeting, look at the lighting, look at everything in your Kingdom Hall, just take a look.
Evaluate all of
it.
the communication that happens after the meeting with all the other brothers and sisters, the smiles, the small talk, and by the time you come back out of that meeting, you're probably, in most cases, if you're being totally honest, relieved it's over. Yeah. You're relieved you're outside the door, and you smell that fresh air and you think, thank God that's over with for another week.
Yeah. You're relieved. You can't tell me that majority of witnesses are not relieved when the meeting is over and you get to go home.
Yeah.
And so that to me is...
So what's going wrong there when you feel that, when you know that? But anyway...
that was not what we were going to talk about anymore, but it was just something we were looking at in Joan and Bill's book. We've had this for a long time, and we've read bits before, and it's just certain things that just keep popping back up into our head, and we've been meaning to do videos on these bits for ages, and they just haven't had the opportunity. So
what we're going to do is stop this video now, and this will be part 1, and then we're going to come straight back into it with a part 2, looking at an example of the callousness of the organisation, and also just share with you some words about an individual without mentioning his name. Just something that really struck us yesterday, who was disfellowshipped and was coming back into the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
And that type of thing that got us triggered into this type of mentality that's going on. So thank you very much, and we'll leave it there.
And we'll see you in a minute.
Bye.
Bye.